So where is he going to get the $25 from that he needs to go pay his bill? Nah, that's the wrong answer if you think he's going to go borrow from somebody, because now he's in debt to somebody else, and that's going to cause him a problem next week. Okay. So let me tell you what this guy should have done. My wife calls it the envelope method. When he got his paycheck on Friday afternoon, he should have taken $145 right then and there, asked the teller to give him an envelope, put the $145 in it, and marked Betco on it, and put it aside in his other pocket, and not drawn any of that money out over the weekend. The point here is this. You need to plan ahead. You just can't go day by day. You can avoid many pressures if you think and plan ahead. I repeat, the secret to personal finance is knowing how much money that is in your pocket is really yours, and knowing how much is already obligated to someone else. Okay, well, that moves me on to the next thing. So I've been going into prisons for over 5 years now and trying to help people understand their finances. And about 4.5 years ago, I was in a class in Brunswick Correctional, Women's Correctional, and I was talking to this 22-year-old young lady. She had been in prison for 2 years. She had a 3-year-old daughter, and here's her story. She had lived with her parents. She had never worked before. Her parents put her through college. She never handled money on her own. She got a boyfriend. She lived with the boyfriend. He was a drug dealer. He went to prison also. Then she got hooked up in that, and that's why she went to prison. And she had a baby before she went in prison. Her parents were keeping her baby. She was getting ready to get out in about 2 months. And when I had a one-on-one session with her to talk about her finances, she got very, very emotional, and she started to cry. She told me that she was scared to death to face life when she got out because she did not know how to handle money. She said that she had never handled money. First, her parents took care of everything, and her boyfriend handled all the money. And she said that when she got out, she wasn't sure what she was going to do. She did not want to live at home for the rest of her life and have her parents raise the baby with her. Well, that really touched me, and I wanted to do something. So I went to the head counselor at the prison, and I said, hey, I want to add a personal budget seminar to my classes so that what she needs, everybody else needs also. So he said, hey, Steve, we've never had anybody want to do what you're talking about, so I've got an idea. If you could teach the women here to learn how to handle and control their canteen spending so that they quit spending so much money unnecessarily in the canteen, they could learn how to handle money, and when they get out, they could hit the pavement running and be in a much better position because they'd have some better ways to deal with handling money. So let me tell you what I mean by that. In all prisons, they have canteens, and they do make some money in prisons up to like maybe 45 cents an hour, and they make money. But obviously, there's a lot of time in prisons where people get very, very bored, and they spend a lot of money in a canteen, just wasting their money. So I put together this program, and I'm 2 months into teaching how to handle your money and how to keep track of your canteen spending. And then at the end of one class, I asked, was there any questions, any comments, and nobody volunteered. That's not unusual in prison. It's kind of it's kind of a thing where they don't like to speak up too much in front of other inmates because it might show a weakness. But I said to them, I said, ladies, I drive 2.5 hours each way to come up here every other week to try to help you be better prepared so that when you go back out into the world, you'll have a better chance of it. And I said, give me some feedback here. Give me some love. And nobody still asked me anything. So I said, do y'all want me to keep coming? Because, it's a volunteer thing. I don't really need to come. And I said, come on now. Well, the hands all shot up. But in the very back, there was a woman named Mary. And Mary said to me, this has been 2 months into teaching this method that I teach. She said, well, Mr. Copeland, I want to tell you that when you first started talking about how to keep track of our money better, I went back to the canteen and I asked them to give me a printout of the last 2 years of all my spending. And I said, what did you find out? She said, well, I've averaged $160 a month in the canteen spending. And I said, well, that sounds like a lot of money. What did you spend your money on? She said, nothing. Junk, candy, potato chips. And I said, wow, that sounds like a lot of potato chips to me. Can you share how many bags of potato chips you're buying? And she said, about 4 jumbo bags a week. That's a lot of potato chips by anybody's standards. I said, okay. So once you learn that about yourself, what did you do? She said, well, I got to thinking, if I could cut my spending down from $160 a month down to $50 a month, I could save over $100 a month, and I got 2 years before I get out, and I could have $2,500 to leave with. Well, let me tell you something. When people get released from prison, the difference between having $2,400 and nothing when you leave makes all the difference in the world in how, when they get out, they can go back out and maybe they can rent a room somewhere, maybe they can get a car, they can get transportation to go find a job. It makes a huge difference when people have a little nest egg when they get out. So I said, well, that's good. So tell me more. Well, Mary said, I just want you to know that once I started paying attention to it like that, I've been saving $100 a month for the last 2 months. Well, that was a big round of applause because that was just absolutely wonderful, and I want to follow up with that. So a month later, Mary says, do you want an update? And I said, yeah, please. She goes, well, it was my last time in the canteen for the month, and when I put everything up on the counter, I saw that I was going to go over the $50 for the month. And I said, what did you do, Mary? She said, I put stuff back on the shelves. Well, let me just stop right here for a second. What we're trying to do is have everyone learn their own behavior so that they can control their own behavior. And when they see things that they might not have ever known about what they're doing, hopefully they can start to make changes, but it takes a lot of discipline. So that's really the main thing that I want to start off with, is to let you know that there are people out there that are using a method that I want to teach. I'm not going to teach the whole method today, but I'm just trying to make a point today. My point today is that if you start keeping track of what you're doing and writing it down so that you see it, you will be able to, on your own, start to change your own behavior. Your parents can shake you all they want to do something right. You can have teachers and mentors just try to beat it into you. But unless you make your own decision to change your behavior, it's not going to happen. Okay, so let me just tell you the most wonderful thing about the Mary story and the Brunswick teaching them how to convert canteen spending into savings. They have a work release program there, and there's a restaurant in I think it's Waverly, Virginia, or Wakefield, one or the other, called the Virginia Diner. It's an incredibly wonderful restaurant. It's been around for close to 100 years, family-owned, and they hire returning citizens on a regular basis. And I've talked to the owners. They actually prefer returning citizens that have learned enough and have made changes, because they say they're the most dependable, good, hardworking employees they've ever had. So they have a program there. Well, a couple years ago, I went up there on a Sunday with my father and his girlfriend and my wife and her parents, and we were enjoying the Sunday afternoon buffet. And I walked up to the buffet line to decide if I wanted to order off the buffet or off the menu. And behind the buffet line was a woman. Her name was Cynthia. And she saw me, and she got really excited. I'm not in this for just to make myself feel good, but I got to tell you, it happened that day, though. She goes, Mr. Copeland, Mr. Copeland, and she's pointing her finger, and she's kind of jumping up and down. She goes, do you remember me? Do you remember me? And I looked at her, and I said, I sure do, Cynthia from Brunswick. She goes, yes. She goes, I got to tell you, Mr. Copeland, your system works. Your system works. There's 6 of us that work here, and we're all doing exactly what you said. We're all keeping a notebook, and we're writing down every single penny that we spend every day, and we're paying attention to it. She goes, it really works, Mr. Copeland. I just want to thank you. She goes, I've saved $800 in the month that I've been working here. It's a work release program, and they're making a good wage there, and a bus picks them up and takes them to work and then brings them back to the facility. So they don't have a whole lot they need to spend their money on. She saved $800. And she said, hey, Susie in the back, she's been here for 2 months, and she saved $2,300. Well, I was elated. I was overjoyed to know that there are people that have used what I'm trying to teach them. It's just one of the greatest feelings I've ever had to see that some of the people that I care about, that I'm trying to help them get in the right direction, are utilizing my method of how to handle your finances. So let me talk about what that method is for a second. I'm 65 years old, and when I first went to VCU in 1972, I transferred from Old Dominion University. I dropped out of college for a while, then I transferred up to VCU. And one of the things that I did was I joined American Karate Academy. And when I went to the karate school there, Ruben was the head instructor of the school. So I went there, and the reason I went there, by the way, was I like fitness. I like sports. I found out one thing, that as you get older, people don't want to go out and play sandlot ball with you anymore. They don't want to go play basketball. There's a lot of people that get so serious about making a living or whatever that they just quit fitness. Well, let me just put this out there. Never quit fitness. It'll help you keep a balance in life. It'll keep you healthy. Okay, but anyway, that's a whole nother story about it. Okay, so I go to the karate school, and I was an accounting major. I had 2 years of accounting, and I'd worked as a bookkeeper all the way through my first 2 years, and I was used to working. So I started training at the karate school, and Ruben, he is the classic. Well, let me just explain Ruben, because this is a pretty interesting thing here. Ruben was bald with a jawline beard, pierced earring, drove a motorcycle, black leather jacket. He had been in the Marine Corps as a drill sergeant, and he was a karate instructor. And what I want to say about Ruben is that he was kind of sadistic, and he just really liked to put you through the workout there. Well, okay, so I'm working out with Ruben a whole lot. It was before the headgear came out, and I used to wear a motorcycle helmet so that if he wanted to kick in the head, I wouldn't hurt me. Okay, so one day after about 2 months, Ruben says to me, he goes, hey, Steve, I want you to help me. I said, what do you want me to do, Ruben? And he said, well, I know that you're an accountant. I wasn't an accountant at the time, but I was moving toward it.